Everybody is always asking about the state of the market. So right now I'm going to share a video from our founding member of the company and the CEO of our company. He regularly appears on the TV publications and also regularly appears on Bloomberg. So very valuable contributor to the market. And so we'll play that video just to kind of give you a gauge of what's going on in the market.
And such as, quote, the lock-in effect of current homeowners. Robert Raskin joins us, Compass co-founder and CEO. It's good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
You were saying that things are looking a little bit different here as we go into 2024. Wow.
Yeah, well, it's official as of Friday. The number of the homes that sold last year was 4.1 million. It's the lowest level since 1995. And the population today is 27% bigger than 1995. However, this year, all the key signs are pointing the right direction, specifically inventory, because more inventory equals more sales. And you have 7% more inventory today than this time a year ago. And you can see as well, 5% more homes under contract today than a year ago.
So is it that mortgage rates? Is it the relief? Is that what's changing things?
Yeah, 8.1% mortgage rates last fall was very difficult, but now it's basically free marketing to the entire real estate market, saying that 6.8 is a good deal. And so you have more.
Is that working?
It is working. You have more buyers than sellers. And sellers today are more realistic on pricing than they were last fall. That modest buyer strike led to 39% of all homes in the fall having a price drop. And so prices are better now than they were.
The Redfin data on listings, new home listings, is up 2.7 year on year. You think that's low?
Yeah, I think that we're going to continue to see more demand for new homes than existing, because people today want things that are new, and there's just not enough homes available for sale in the existing home market because of the rate lock-in effect. This time last year, 72% of homeowners were locked in at 4% or below. Now it's actually 59%. And so, although it's still high, it's much better than it was a year ago.
Do people try to beat each other to the punch before spring comes? Or do we have to wait for spring like we in classic fashion?
In the last month, I've spoken to over 1,000 of our agents and just asked them, how's the market going? The most common quote I've heard is, this is the busiest January I've had on record, and more buyers are calling me over the holiday season than ever before. They were working over Christmas, they were working on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and so yeah, I think buyers are trying to beat people to the punch before the spring market really hits.
Regionally, you always give us a breakdown. Does it continue to be some of these warmer places or low tax states that benefit? And what about the pandemic darlings, that they come back down to earth?
Yeah, the low tax warm weather states are still excuse me, they're still very attractive. But I think Florida has more staying power than some of those other markets. You know, Texas, Carolina's still strong, but Florida is just benefited longer than the others. It is a vacation community that the entire country can go to. So if it is a retirement community. So if you're planning retirement 5 years from now, you can just accelerate it earlier. And there's still enough of the country that's working from home where it does make it more viable. I would also say this, spillover migration markets. And so markets people move to when they're getting priced out of their core markets. So let's say San Francisco moving to Las Vegas or Sacramento, you have DC moving to Charlotte or Raleigh, or Austin moving to San Antonio.
Okay, so that's basically the update. I think locally, what I'd like to share is the market is incredibly strong for sellers. It really is awful for buyers right now. They're practically giving up their first child to purchase a property. We're still seeing a ton of migration. At the end of the day, if somebody needs to move to the suburbs so that their children can go to school, they will buy despite the higher interest rates. So one of the things that I do want to share is that the market has been pivoting quickly. So everything that we do right now is real time. So predictability is a little bit more challenging than it was 10 years ago. So when we had those interest rate increases last year, we saw a pause in the market, and that affected a small percentage of the sellers because the buyers were shocked. but right now our interest rates are hovering around 6.8, and there's a lot of buyers that have interest, and the lines are out the door at open houses. I can give you an example of how the market has improved in a matter of weeks. There was a property that came on the market. It was contracted for $1,475,000. It had 16 offers on it. They went through inspections. The buyers were, from the seller's perspective, misbehaving and not sticking to their contracted contingencies. So the seller decided that they wanted to walk away from the buyer and put the house back on the market. The house went back on the market roughly 4 weeks later. They had 8 offers and contracted it for 1.5. So that just tells us that the trajectory of pricing is still moving up despite the interest rates. So the first slide, are you overwhelmed? I would say 98% of people are overwhelmed when they're thinking about selling their home. Whether that is a move-up buyer, I'm working with a client right now in Manhattan, they have a young baby, and the wife is completely calm. The husband, every single day, I would say he comes this close to having a panic attack because, you know, we're talking about big numbers. We're talking about people's lives. So a little bit about me. Some of you already know about me. I did not want to sell real estate. It wasn't my heart's desire. I've been in and around this business my whole life. My father was a developer. And when I was 18 years old, he asked me to get my license so I could represent a condo development for him while I was back at school. I did not like the industry. I thought it was cutthroat, and I wanted nothing to do with it. Fast forward, I ended up marrying my husband, who's a contractor, and we were fixing and flipping properties. And I said, you know, we can do that. That's fine. However, I'm not going to play realtor. The last time the market tanked in 2008, we were stuck with a property that we were flipping, and we were either going to make money or lose money because the market had changed in a matter of weeks. So we went from, at that time, thinking that we were going to get 720, ultimately selling it for 625. We still made money, but that's how I re-entered the market. Never really expecting that I would actually sell real estate. One of my friends called me up, and the market was really bad. She had had her house on the market with 2 other agents, unsuccessfully selling. So she asked me to help her out. She was 40 years old at the time and lost her husband. And she was going to either lose the house or we were either going to be able to sell the house. And we were fortunate enough to be able to sell the house. So that's sort of what started the trajectory of me getting involved in real estate. And it was just a matter of my friends contacting me and me helping them, which gave a completely different spin on the way I do real estate versus some other people. So because I always come from the perspective of analyzing somebody's needs and taking years and decades of experiences and curating a custom experience, I'm able to successfully not only keep everybody calm, but also secure a really fabulous sale for them in most cases. So what really matters when you're looking for a realtor? I would say the 2 most important factors are trust and experience. You're going to be married to your realtor for at least 3 months. That's approximately how long it takes to get your house on the market, contracted, and close it. If you don't trust the person that you're working with, you will never receive their advice, and as such, your results won't be as good. I would say the second factor is the level of experience. Each real estate transaction is different because at any given time, you have at least 8 players in that transaction. You have 2 realtors, you have 2 buyers, you have 2 sellers, you have 2 attorneys. And all of those people have different personalities and different agendas within the transaction. So a really experienced realtor understands people and understands how to navigate those people so that your result could be productive. All right, so where is the market? Right now, we had an uptick in interest rates. So we're at 6.8%. We were about 6.5 last week, so we're still in solid shape. The experts are predicting 2 more interest rate reductions. So that's really positive for both buyer and seller, more positive for seller because as those individuals come out of hiding and back into the market, the buyers, the prices are expected to continue to have an upward trajectory. So that's really productive for our sellers right now. In terms of home prices, right now we're only seeing an increase in prices. We haven't seen any change other than about 2 months ago. We saw a mild modification of about 1% as the buyers were adjusting to those interest rates. So days on the market, we're very fortunate in this area. I would say the longest it should take any house to sell is a maximum of 2 weeks. In most cases, what we're seeing is a property goes on the market on a Thursday, and by Friday, we start to receive the offers. They usually do a final and best on the following Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and at that point, there's typically a minimum of 6 offers on the table right now. It's very competitive. In order to win a bid from a buyer's perspective, you have to be really crafty. So as a seller, what you're looking for is to eliminate as many of the contingencies as possible. And that would be a mortgage contingency, home inspection contingencies, appraisal contingency. And I would say 50% of the time, you have half of the buyer population eliminating those contingencies so that they could win the bid on the property. So needless to say, the market is very solid. Okay, so when you're transitioning, I think there's a couple of things to consider. First, you need to know where you're going because the market moves so rapidly. If you don't know where you're going, you're going to be homeless, and we want to avoid anybody being homeless. So the question becomes, how much do you prepare a property? That really is more of a curated experience. Some people are all in to doing a full staging and doing whatever it is they need to do to move the property at a higher price. There are some people that cannot handle that, cannot handle the work of it, cannot handle the emotional component of it. So it really depends on your personal situation because there's no reason to move forward stressed out about any move. The house will sell irregardless. The only difference is that the fully staged properties will sell for slightly more than the unstaged properties. So who typically does the work? We have resources available to help anybody do the work. And sometimes family members participate in doing the work. And again, that's a very personal situation. In my specific case, when I was selling my mother's house, I wanted to do all of it myself. I wanted to go through everything in the house. It was a way for me to have closure. And it was also a way for me to make sure that she wasn't hiding any gems in the house that I didn't know of. So that was pretty important to me. What that looked like. So in a worst case scenario, when mom's been in the house for 40 or 50 years and she collected every piece of artwork that I ever created and had every single document she ever thought she needed to save, how much time does that actually take? So her property was 2 hours away. She lived in South Jersey. And I took 4 weekends to get this done by myself, with the exception of one weekend where I had my boys come down and help me move bigger pieces. So what I did in that particular case was I had a dumpster delivered to the house. And I went, and that was actually easier, right, than bagging things up because I could take one item at a time, throw it in the dumpster, and go through everything a little bit at a time. So what I did was I emptied out my bedroom first, my old bedroom, and then I used that room to distribute all of the different categories. So I had a donation pile. Anything that was garbage went into the dumpster. And then I had a save pile for memorabilia and things that we wanted to save. Once I got through that room, then I went to the next room and I worked on that room, keeping my first bedroom the allocation room. And in a matter of 4 weekends, I was able to take care of the whole house. So although it sounds very, very overwhelming, once you get started, it moves along a lot quicker. And at the time, I had hurt my knee. So I was working on a busted knee and getting this job done. So I will tell you that anybody can do this and do it fairly quickly as long as you get started. So then we need to put a plan in motion. So let's talk a little bit about staging. Staging is definitely something that allows the buyers to very comfortably visualize them in the house. The next slide that I have is this particular property where we did before and afters. So this was the master bedroom, and as you can see, there was a lot of stuff in here. Had we gone on the market in this condition, it would have reflected negatively on the price. The most important thing in a sale is that the house is impeccably clean. The age of the kitchen, the age of the bathroom is less significant than having it really spotless. And that's how we transformed it after we were done with the staging. So our company has a program called Compass Concierge where you can borrow up to $25,000 to do this sort of work, and you can use that to have a company come in and edit, a company come in and help you clean up the place. You can use it for home inspection items. So I really like this product because you don't have to pay it back until closing. So I'm going to play this little video.
Without Compass Concierge, how do you, with limited income, get something onto the market that you know is a beautiful property? My family's lived in this house for over 60 years, and at this point in my life, I feel like I need to downsize. I have seen them completely redo this kitchen, completely redo the floors. I was able to bring the house up to the beautiful house that it really is to get it to market. And this is my final opportunity to get funding to live in my next few years. This transformation has been remarkable. Every step of the way was breathtaking.
All right, so this is the actual house. The house was in Wyckoff. It was an estate, 3 children. They pretty much met us on a Sunday. They handed us the keys and we were responsible for the rest of the project. So as you can see, the first picture in every category is what it looked like before, and the second is what it looked like afterwards. So we were really able to transform this property. Honestly, it was beautiful when we finally got done. We pulled up some carpeting. The basement was in really tough shape. So if you can see the basement picture, which is right there, that's what it looked like before, and that's what it looked like after. Okay, so let's talk about the home selling steps. Within each of these categories, there's other nuances within the category, because although systemizing the process sounds like it's easy, because everybody's personal situation is different, we really curate the whole experience. So the most important part is actually evaluating your needs. And we have a whole series of questions that we go through when we're evaluating your needs. And that's also getting a gauge on where you are emotionally, because some people are completely ready for this process and some people need a little bit more hand-holding. So after we evaluate your needs, we talk about pricing. What does the pricing look like? Where you're comfortable with the pricing? What does it look like at price A if we go out to the market? What's the expected range? And from there, we decide together what a good pricing strategy is. From there, we develop a marketing plan, and each property is marketed differently. And I'll show you a couple of videos of properties. I tend to like to go into a property, understand the energy of the property and how that family particularly used it, and we create our marketing plan around that. Most of the time, people are pretty happy with the end result because we've really embraced what the house can offer to a buyer, and then also understanding how that whole piece worked in terms of the seller and their lifestyle. So at that point, we schedule the photographers and the videographers. We install a sign, get the keys from you, decide whether you want or don't want a lockbox on, decide whether you want us present for every showing or not present for every showing. We schedule the open houses, we start the showings, we do weekly updates, and in the rare occasion, if we need to do a strategy assessment, and that's basically if the house is on the market for 2 weeks and hasn't generated an offer, we have a more serious conversation about what the potential reasons are, what the buyer feedback is, and where we can make some minor modifications. So at that point, we should receive and negotiate offers. We'll accept the best offer, and that includes the terms and conditions. We start attorney review. In New Jersey, it's not required to use an attorney, but mostly everybody uses an attorney. So if you don't use an attorney, you'll be at a disadvantage. It's always good to interview the attorney that you're going to move forward with in advance. This way you don't have to think about it later. We'll conclude attorney review, and that means we're under contract. And at that point, we'll start inspections. So inspectors are hired to identify problems with the house. That's what they're paid for. The reports are at least 40 pages long, and there's about, 100 pictures of the property. My first sort of intuition is to say every house has flaws. Sometimes we don't notice them. Secondly, you shouldn't get overwhelmed with the list of things because not everything needs to be addressed. And there's no reason to get offended because the buyer hired the inspector to come up with problems. So there's always a solution to every problem. So I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about the inspections. And additionally, right now in the current state of the market, a lot of the inspection items are not even being requested to be addressed because the buyers are so desperate to get into a property. What are the hot spots on inspections? So in my experience, the real big hot spots are oil tanks, asbestos, mold, structural flaws, electrical and mechanical defects, heating and air conditioning systems that have reached their life expectancy. The age of the roof comes up, although we don't ever really negotiate that. It often comes up on inspections. And fireplaces are a big thing because the home inspectors are requesting that the buyers do what's called a level 2 inspection. And at that point, they send cameras up, and some of the mortar joints have deteriorated, and they typically will ask the seller to address that. We can negotiate that out in the original additional contractual provisions, but oftentimes it does come up, and that's a pretty heavy lift. That's about a $7,000 cost if you were going to repair it. Septic systems, if you have a septic system, it's more likely than not that you'll have to address it, and that's about a $30,000 cost. I think the things that we have solutions for that are pretty moderate are asbestos, oil tanks. They're going to cost you about $2,500 to remediate. The bank will always require an appraisal, so there'll be a visual inspection. In the history of my career, I've never had a problem with an appraisal. So all the properties are appraising at whatever the market value is and the offers that we've generated. So we don't typically have to worry there. And then phase 3 would be follow up with the attorney, sign the closing documents, and then that's pretty much it. That's closing day. So I know it sounds like it's pretty easy coming from me, but it actually is. And a lot of times we let our emotions get in the way of these things. But this year we helped 80 families move. So when you do it 80 times, there's really not many things that come up that I don't have the experience to address. So at any point, if anybody has any questions or needs guidance, I'm here to help you. So seller's closing costs. The legal fees are going to run you about $900 to $1,800. The brokerage fee is what was negotiated on the contract. There's a mortgage cancellation fee if, in fact, you do still have a mortgage on the property. All of the adjustments at closing will be tax, water, things like that. That will be on your final closing documents where they credit you for certain things that you paid. Specifically, the big one is usually the taxes. There's a real estate transfer tax fee, which is about 1% of the purchase price. And if anybody is leaving New Jersey, there's an additional 2% of the purchase price that Uncle Sam keeps back for a little while. You are supposed to be able to recover that amount. From what I understand, it's not the easiest thing to recover, so that should be a consideration if you're thinking about moving out of New Jersey. So how do we determine market value? I typically go in, and because I'm in the market so much, I have a gut feeling. Then I'll do a traditional market analysis. And then one of the things that our team is doing right now is a price per square foot analysis. Most of the other agents aren't doing this, and that's simply because it's very manual. There's no system that pulls the information together. But what we found is it really gives us a clear lateral of what buyers are paying for price per square foot. And then we look at what they're paying per square foot, whether you're renovating the property or staging it, versus not doing that. So as you can see in this particular example, this is a real example. What we do is we take the lowest point, the highest point, and then the averages. And generally, we're hovering in the higher part of the averages, because when we're considering the lowest sale, that's usually a property that's not in the best condition. So you can feel pretty confident that we can be in the higher part of those averages when we do this analysis. Okay, so that's that. So I am going to right now show you, because I think it will be fun, if I can find it, one of the videos. This happens to be my favorite video. So this property is a luxury property. And what we did was we created a story. People are very intrigued with a story that you create for a property. So in this particular case, the owner was a hedge fund person. He worked in New York. And when you watch the video, you'll see there's like a text section where in the text block, it says, he's coming home from Manhattan. Do you want to go to Ridgewood Country Club? And then she replies and says, no, your parents are here. We'll go to the club tomorrow. And then the video proceeds from there. And then I'll show you a couple of other examples of properties that weren't in this category, just so that you can get a sense of storytelling and how important that is to the marketing.
Travel on our retreat. I've longed for this place for so long. Now I lay me down and be long. And I breathe in the air fresh from the blessed Midwest. I am held by the forest where I rest and washed by the waters of Lake Michigan. And wherever I go, I will return again to my blessed Midwest. I am torn.
I don't mind slow down anymore. I don't mind the sound of my shoes on your floor. I don't mind selling out or playing cover song. Just as long as friends and family sing along. And I don't need more money or faster car now. Don't need a magazine to call me a superstar. No. I'm gonna take this little house and make a home, and then I'll never have to face my nights alone. 'Cause in my heart I hear you speak, and on my face I feel you breathe next to me. To by land, by air, by sea, and that is how it's supposed to be. Now, not much I can say. Now, I'm pulling loaves of bread down from the shelf, and how rare it is that I stay up past 12. In the backyard we are going to start a garden. If that don't sound mighty good, I beg your pardon. 'Cause in my heart I hear you speak, and on my face I feel you breathe next to me. To by land, by air, by sea, and that is how it's supposed to be. Now, ain't that much I can say. Now, if they don't love us, we don't need them. Let's find out what will bring to freedom. If they don't love us, we don't need them.
Okay, so as you can see, we're always trying to create an environment where somebody can see how they can use the house, keeping it interesting and using whatever it is in the house for us to be able to market. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you Angie's video, and then I'll show you a smaller one as well.
Looking for a view like this from your balcony? Welcome to Valley View in Montvale. This 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath townhome is more than just a home. It's a lifestyle. With a spacious floor plan, you'll find comfort at every turn. Speaking of convenience, the shops at DP Arrows are just steps away, making this one of Montvale's best locations. Don't miss the chance to make Valley View at Montvale your new home sweet home.
So in this particular video, Angie had a phenomenal location. So we wanted to make sure that everybody knew with the overviews on what that location was potentially capable to showcase for their own spaces. There's one more that I want to show you that kind of is a very modest house.
If you've been looking for a home in the charming town of Whiteclaw, look no further. Welcome to this 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath split-level home that offers both comfort and convenience. Located just a stone throw away from your favorite spots, this home is perfect for your family. No need for a car here. You're just one block away from a bus stop, making your daily commute a breeze. And for nature lovers, you'd be delighted to know that Zabriskie Pond at Adams Farm is just steps away. Make this house your home and experience the best of life off living. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Your dream home in White Clock awaits you.
So the voiceovers in the video become critical because it gives the buyer a narrative for what they can experience. A lot of them are coming out of Manhattan. They're not familiar with the area. So if we can showcase, oh, this is not something that, let's get out of there. If we can showcase the property and sort of share with them how we think they could use the property, that generally brings a lot of attention. Most of the time, when buyers are coming to the house, they'll come because of the video. Most of them don't want to drive if the property's not worth it, but if you can give them a reason to come out, they're ultimately going to be the ones who are going to compete with the pricing. So right now I'm going to have Angie come up because I have some questions. Angie made the move. That previous video was the, Angie and David's house. All right, so downsizing can sometimes bring unique challenges. Can you share what your biggest challenge was in the move and how you overcame it?
That was the piano that I have. I didn't want to part with it. I wanted the buyer to take it over, but they do not want it. So Maryanne has a contact, and she had somebody came in, and we paid for her to take it away.
So that was your biggest challenge? Okay. All right. Adjusting to a new living situation can sometimes be emotionally taxing. Can you share your thoughts on leaving your previous environment and coming here?
Well, we've been looking around for years. We went to Florida, Delaware, Maryland, Carolinas, and we've been looking until we came here for lunch. Kate invited us for lunch, and then the next day we decided we're going to sign up.
It was the free meal, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Free meal. Okay. Okay, we talked about your piano. How hard was it to part with the piano? Like, what was that emotional piece like?
My father bought it for my daughters when they were young, when they were learning to play the instrument. But a year later, they decided they'd rather swim. So the piano just sat there collecting dust. So I was going to take the lessons, but the piano teacher said to me, "Oh, no, you don't, because your nails are too long." So it just sit there.
So you let her opinion of you become your reality, and you could have been playing piano here.
Well, I listened to all the advices, the good ones, the bad ones.
So how do you feel about having given up the piano?
It's fine.
You're okay?
Yeah, no big deal.
You got all... I'm telling you that if I had to frame you in one sentence, it would be, it's no big deal. It's no big deal.
Yeah,
okay.
It is what it is.
All right, so the process of selling a property typically involves numerous decisions and negotiations. Can you share a moment where you faced a difficult decision relating to the sale of the property?
Not really, because you and Kay both have our hands. You held our hands, and no issues. We decide on the price, and we just sit tight, right? It's just like...
This is not supposed to be a testimonial for me. You're supposed to help people here.
No, but really, listen to your realtor. They know what they're doing. There's a unit right next to us, exact same thing, but they asked for a lot higher, and it sat there for, what, 4 or 5 months.
So maybe that's a good thing to talk about, right? So at the time we were going on the market, there were 2 other properties that were listed. And the one was listed at 725, and the other one was 715, right? So just knowing that one of 2 things are going to happen. Either we're going to position ourselves to sell the other properties, or we're going to use the other properties to position us to sell first. And the first person to go to market with a contract sets the comp for the rest of the development. So what happened was we talked about the pricing strategy. We ended up pricing at
$699.
$699, and guess which unit sold first? Yeah.
Yeah, but my units was nice and clean.
It was impeccable.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it was impeccable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they had an inspector came, and most of our appliances, the air conditioning, everything was new, pretty new, except we have contract for the heating system. But the contractor, well, the inspector said, no, you do not need that, told the buyer. So I wish them luck. Because no, really, you never know. If you have a contract, they come within 2 or 3 hours. No contract, you wait until they have availability. So even though it's new, we still have the contract.
So in Angie and David's case particularly, when I walked into the property, I knew that they were perfectionists. And I knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of things that necessarily came up on inspections. But sometimes what I recommend is that somebody do a pre-inspection on the property. This way you're uncovering anything that's going to come up anyway. And you could either choose to address it or choose to disclose it and say you're not going to address it. Not having the information at all leaves you open for negotiations. But sometimes that's a really good strategy. There was only the one little thing that came up, right?
Yeah,
We did
just
a
the
whole
shower and
inspection.
the guest room,
Yeah.
guest bathroom.
And there was only one thing that came up. So kudos to you for taking such good care of your property. I'm going to tell you that I think I'd have a few more things on my inspection list in my house. So proud of you.
Yeah, well, yeah, David helped a lot too.
Of course, he did all the work. You just tell him what to do.
Do this, get that. Oh.
Yep, that's you. Okay, what advice would you give your pre-move self if you had to do it all over again?
Get rid of more stuff. Downsize, really downsize. VFW was my best friend. They came every other week to pick up our stuff, and I have gifts still in boxes, not open. We just gave them away. All my Lennox, all my crystals, I gave them away. Once you decided to move, make the move. Don't wait, don't, no, do it. I think this is a good move for us. I don't like those 55 and up communities. You still have to take care of your inside the house. We moved in 2 weeks later, we went on a 15-day cruise. We didn't have to worry about a thing. We have stuff to be delivered. The concierge outside took care of everything for us. No worries. So that's a good thing.
So if you had it to do all over again, you would do it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No issues. And you will be my realtor.
Okay, perfect.
No, but I think we're here to stay until one of us.
That's what you said about the last place.
I know. I thought that was my forever home. We had it decorated nicely, but it's time. We don't want to walk the stairs, and this is great. You don't have to do a thing. I miss it though. Like I don't have to clean.
How could you miss not having to clean?
I'm used to doing it. Yeah, every day I have a room that I have to do, but now I don't.
I live close.
No, but this is nice. I think we made a good decision to come here. We checked out a lot of other places. This is what caught our eyes. Very impressive.
Do you have any questions for either me or Angie?
Do you prepare a video for every home?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we usually have the team come in and assess potentials. What are the ping points on the property, on the location? And then generally I'm creative. So I'll come up with a storyline. And then I just tell them what to wear and show up and shoot the video. So sometimes, depending on the house, if it's a smaller property, to have a big show in the house isn't going to showcase it well. But when you're shooting a bigger house and you need to navigate the property and keep somebody's attention, that becomes critical. And it also, everybody connects to an emotional space. So when Rhonda's baking cookies in the oven, that of course she brought with her, but when she's doing that and you see Matt sitting on the couch reading his paper, you really get a sense for that's home. And that's what everybody wants ultimately. Yes, you know, looking at beautiful pictures on a beautiful property, but if you don't have that emotional connection, it's never going to drive the price for you. So even with the images, you know, if there's something interesting on a property, like there was one video that we did where their outside seating area, I don't think they really renovated the property for at least 30 years, but it was impeccably clean and they had this very old outside seating area. So we took a picture and some lemonade, and you really got this sense that that was like grandma and grandpa's house. So whatever video we're doing, we're trying to evoke some kind of an emotion. And specifically in Angie's, she had a really cool vibe in there. It was decorated beautifully, but more importantly, her shopping access was incredible. So we really wanted to showcase that piece of it. Each town, each neighborhood has its own little specific nuances, and we try to bring that to light for everybody.
Well, does the home have to be staged? Can, if you feel it shows better with fewer pieces of furniture, that's a possibility, isn't it, rather than having to stage it? Because
Yeah, that it really comes down to what your transition time is, right? Ideally, if I'm doing, let's say, an estate, for example, I want to get the house completely empty. So I'm in the middle of doing an estate in Englewood, and the owner has already moved to Florida, and I want the whole place empty so I can bring in the staging company and plant furniture. Sometimes, right, somebody's still living in the house, and that looks very different. So I have 3 different staging people that I work with. One that only does vacant houses where we come in and just blow it out of the park. And then the next one goes in and edits. And you worked with Ellen. How was Ellen?
She was great. She was great. She taught me how to make the bed properly. No, but seriously, all I did was just cover the pillows. I'm done. But she taught me how to fold. She even ironed my towels. She's excellent. And then, you know, really have it staged, and it's not causing you anything. Get it done.
Yeah, so I had one family.
I'm sorry, Angie, what did you say, get it staged?
Yes. Yes.
She's recommending that you use the stager. Yeah.
Was yours staged?
Yes.
So you were not living in it?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
I lived there.
We moved some furniture. Do you remember exactly what Ellen did? So what Ellen does, and I had one family in Ridgewood where they had a lot of antiques. So Ellen came in and removed some of the antiques. They put them in the garage, or I don't even know what they did with them. And then she introduced, like, they had an antique dining room table. She introduced contemporary chairs. They changed one light fixture. So they made it look incredibly current and modern, even with the older furniture. So maybe you can share exactly what Ellen did. She didn't really do all that much.
I have most of my furniture the way it was, didn't touch, just 2 stools. And she put it in front of my fireplace and just changed the room, look so totally different. And I think that's about it. Oh, she took away some of my toys. I have a lot of, everywhere I go, I get a rubber duck, and I work for a international company. So every time they come back, they bring me a rubber duck. So I had it all over my tub. She took them all away. But other than that, it was...
She moved some things in your bedroom too, right? Didn't she move some furniture?
Oh, yeah, no, it was too heavy, so we couldn't move it.
But what did she move where the mark was in the carpet?
The
Chair. She moved the chair and then your desk.
on my desk, yeah. Instead of one corner, she put in the middle of between the bathroom and the closet. It looks nicer. You know, you think you're doing it.
She brought in a lot of pillows.
Oh, yeah,
You know, little like coffee tablecloths.
yeah.
You know, stuff like that. Just
Create
small
setting.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. I mean, she spent maybe 2 or 3 hours. You know, that was it. And you know, it was worth it. You know.
Yeah, she's very good at what she does, and she's very thoughtful. You know, if there's something that you absolutely can't live without while you're living in the house, she'll make an adjustment and work around it. So she's very thoughtful.
You said there were 3.
Mhm.
Vacant, completely vacant, and then whatever.
That you learn.
So Ellen, stage 1, 2, 3. So stage 1 is vacant. Stage 2 is Ellen, where she introduces some new pieces into what you have existing and works with what you have. And then stage 3 is that we're not going to bring in any pieces. We're just going to work with what you have. So there's 3 different people, depending on, again, what the curated plan is.